Global Firepower's 2024 military strength ranking ranks 145 nations' militaries, weighing a host of different factors like the volume of sophistication of its equipment, its finances, geography, and resources. The ranking considers factors including the amount of military equipment and troops each country has, as well as their financial standing, geography, and available resources, information which may be imperfect. Notably, the ranking only evaluates militaries from a conventional standpoint, overlooking a country's capacity for nuclear strike. It purportedly uses more than 60 factors to generate a PwrIndx score, with a score closer to 0 indicating a more powerful military. Below is a rundown of the 20 top militaries, per this ranking, with some information on each nation. Global Firepower ranked Spain as having the 20th most powerful military in the world in 2024. It also called it a top 20 power in areas including its total transport fleet strength, total fighter interceptor aircraft strength, number of submarines, and its number of available ports. Spain is also one of the few countries in the world with a helicopter carrier, and its fleet of 11 frigates places it 7th globally in that category. The country saw a historic increase in military budget in 2023, reaching €12.5 billion from around €9.8 billion in 2022. The country, which was given a PwrIndx score of 0.2882, also had 140 fighter aircraft and 2 submarines as of January 2023. With a PwrIndx score of 0.2847, Global Firepower ranked Germany in the top 20 globally in areas including total aircraft fleet strength, helicopter strength, and its total armored fighting vehicle fleet. It said that as of January 2023, Germany had around 601 aircraft, 266 tanks, and 287 helicopters. The country also had the 5th highest defense budget, of around $52.3 billion, behind only the US, China, Russia, and India. It also benefits from being part of NATO. In the wake of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it pledged to increase defense spending to hit the alliance's target of 2% of GDP. Global Firepower said Ukraine increased its ranking compared to last year due to its response to Russia's invasion and the military help, including weapons, it is getting from its allies. Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, expecting to take the country in a matter of days. Instead, it was pushed back to the east, where both sides are now grinding it out on the battlefield, with no signs the conflict will end anytime soon. Global Firepower ranked Ukraine 10th overall for its number of self-propelled multiple-launch rocket projectors, saying that as of October 2023 it had 647 of them. It gave the country a PwrIndx score of 0.2598. 2 years into the war, Ukrainian armed forces grapple with 2 major challenges when it comes to training and deploying new soldiers, according to a recent report from the nonpartisan Congressional Research Service. The report cites a lack of fully developed professional corps to train and command new recruits, as well as the challenge to balance the time spent training recruits on performing complex operations and operating sophisticated weaponry while ensuring adequate personnel are deployed on the front lines. 17th overall, Israel was ranked by Global Firepower in the top 20 in areas like its total fighter interceptor aircraft strength, its total aircraft fleet strength, and its total available reserve military manpower. It said that Israel, which it gave a PwrIndx score of 0.2796, had 601 military aircraft, with 241 of those being fighters. It also had 2,200 tanks, as well as a stock of 650 pieces of self-propelled artillery. Given its historic conflicts with its neighbors and with armed groups like Hamas, the Israel Defense Forces hold a prominent place in its society. Many men and women are compelled to complete national service, giving it a relatively large military for its population of 9 million. The IDF has escalated its fight against Hamas after the group's deadly attack against Israel in October. Israel launched a controversial blockade of Gaza and fired bombs into the small and densely populated strip, and its troops launched a ground invasion. Israel's response to the attack has raised new questions about U.S. aid going to the country, which is its ally. But the billions the U.S. sends it every year still look set to continue. Global Firepower said Australia has the 6th highest defense budget in the world, and ranked it in the top 10 in areas including its total aerial tanker aircraft fleet strength, total number of helicopter carrier warships, total natural gas production, and its number of roadways, airports, and major ports. While its active military personnel was just 60,500, 61st largest, the country is ranked among the highest in the world in some other categories, including 4th in the world for its number of helicopter carriers and 8th in the world for its number of aerial tanker aircraft. Australia has a public strategy to spend about $190 billion on new defense systems in the 10 years leading up to 2030. In May 2023, the country earmarked about $29 billion for its 2023-24 fiscal defense budget for the first time, according to the Australian Defence magazine. As of September 2021, the country committed to strengthening its alliance with the UK and the US through the AUKUS Pact, focused on modernising its submarine fleet. Global Firepower gave Australia a PwrIndx score of 0.2515. Number 15. Global Firepower ranked Egypt in the top 10 in areas including total available active military manpower, available paramilitary force strength, and total available reserve manpower, as well as the strength of its aircraft fleet. It said Egypt had more than 1,000 military aircraft as of November 2023, and that it had 300,000 people who can be considered part of its paramilitary forces. The Egyptian army topped the list of Arab countries, the report added. A group of 11 U.S. senators had urged the U.S. earlier this year to withhold $320 million in military aid to Egypt for a third consecutive year due to a lack of necessary progress on human rights under President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. The Biden administration allowed most of that money to go through in September, citing the need to support U.S. national security interests while acknowledging ongoing human rights concerns. Global Firepower gave Egypt a PwrIndx score of 0.2283. Number 14. Global Firepower ranked Iran in the top 10 in areas including its total combat tank fleet strength, total self-propelled multiple launch rocket projector vehicle fleet strength, and its total available active military manpower. It said that as of October 2023, Iran had more than 4,000 tanks and more than 1,000 rocket launcher systems. Its active military personnel of 575,000 was the 7th largest in the world. Iran has for decades been seeking nuclear weapons, a program which the US and other Western nations have vowed to stop, hammering Iran with sanctions. Despite economic challenges like those sanctions, Iran has earmarked a fifth of its annual budget to defense in 2023. Overall, Global Firepower gave the country a PwrIndx score of 0.2269. Number 13. Indonesia. Global Firepower ranked Indonesia in the top 5 worldwide in areas including its total available population fit for military service, total available population reaching military age on an annual basis, and its total number of offshore patrol boats and corvette warships. It said that, in 2023, more than 112 million Indonesians were eligible for military service, 40.7% of the country's population. The country's military announced it would relocate ASEAN's first-ever joint military drills away from the South China Sea amid territorial disputes in the region. China claims sovereignty over the sea, as well as the area's estimated 11 billion barrels of undiscovered oil and 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, putting it at odds with competing claimants in the region. Global Firepower gave Indonesia a PwrIndx score of 0.2251. Global Firepower ranked Brazil in the top 5 in areas including its available population that is fit for military service, its total transport fleet strength, and its number of total serviceable airports. The country has over 4,000 airports, the second highest in the world, as well as 17 ports and trade terminals, the 5th highest in this category. Global Firepower said that Brazil had more than 87 million people fit for military service, 40.3% of the country's population. In the wake of anti-government riots on January 8, 2023, Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva vowed to crack down on all military officials who sought to overturn Brazil's 2022 election results. Lula fired the country's army chief upon taking office in January. Brazil has recently been strengthening its obores with Venezuela and Guyana due to rising tensions between those countries. Global Firepower gave Brazil a PwrIndx score of 0.1944. Global Firepower ranked France 11th overall. The European nation was in the top 10 in areas including its total helicopter fleet and number of destroyer warships, as well as its total transport fleet strength. France is also one of the few nations to field an aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle. It also has nuclear weapons. Global Firepower said France had 438 helicopters, including 69 attack helicopters, and 10 destroyer warships as of 2023, giving it a PwrIndx score of 0.1878. France has traditionally had a strong presence in the Sahel region of Africa, where it used to have several colonies. In recent years, it has started to wind down its presence there, though approximately 5,000 French soldiers are still stationed on bases across Africa. Meanwhile, Russia and China are competing for influence. Global Firepower ranked Italy in the top 10 in areas including its aerial tanker aircraft fleet, total helicopter strength, attack aircraft strength, and its total number of aircraft carrier warships. It said Italy had 404 helicopters, including 58 attack helicopters, and 2 aircraft carrier warships as of January 2023. A global data report earlier this year forecasted an increase in spending from $31.6 billion to $38.5 billion between 2024 and 2028. It gave Italy a PwrIndx score of 0.1863. Pakistan is number 9 overall in 2024. While Pakistan had more than 3,700 tanks, 1,400 military aircraft, 9 submarines, and 654,000 active military personnel as of January 2023, Global Firepower said its rise was also due to this year's rankings having a bigger focus on natural resources and shared borders. Pakistan shares borders with Afghanistan, China, India, and Iran, putting it in a tense part of the world. Global Firepower ranked Pakistan in the top 10 in areas including its total available population fit for military service, total available active military manpower, and total aircraft fleet strength, with a PwrIndx score of 0.1711. Global Firepower said Turkey is undoubtedly a rising military power, relying ever more on local industry to satisfy equally local defense requirements on land, on sea, and in the air. It ranked the country in the top 10 in areas including aircraft fleet strength, transport fleet strength, and helicopter strength. It said Turkey had 1,065 military aircraft as of April 2023, giving it a PwrIndx score of 0.1697. Turkey is one of 5 NATO member countries that host U.S. nuclear weapons as part of the alliance's nuclear sharing deal. The country has chosen a difficult balancing act since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, by providing Ukraine with combat drones and keeping close ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin. While Turkey has mediated diplomatic deals like the Grain Initiative and prisoner swaps, it has failed to broker a ceasefire or bring both countries to the negotiating table. Number 7. Japan still has a powerful military despite having renounced the ability to wage war in the aftermath of its defeat in World War II. Japan's constitution heavily limits its ability to use force overseas, and its military is accordingly known as the Japan Self-Defense Forces. Global Firepower ranked Japan in the top 10 for its aircraft fleet strength, total helicopter strength, and armored fighting vehicle fleet strength. An island nation, Japan was the highest-ranked nation when it came to major ports, and with 4 helicopter carriers it ranks second in that category, as well as second, behind only the US, when it came to the strength of its special mission aircraft fleet. In recent decades, Japan has only invested around 1% of its GDP in defense, but more recently began to change its posture. In 2016, Japan loosened restrictions on how its military could be used to allow limited participation in overseas missions deemed to be collective self-defense. The move was driven by its near neighbors North Korea and China both appearing more belligerent. More recently, it announced plans to hike defense spending to 2% of GDP, which would give it the world's third-largest defense budget. Global Firepower said that Japan had more than 1,400 military aircraft, and more than 111,000 vehicles, with a PwrIndx score of 0.1601. Global Firepower said the UK's position was boosted by its strengths in manpower and airpower, as well as its strong financial position. It is also one of the few powers to operate more than one aircraft carrier, it added. Its carriers, HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Prince of Wales, are among the newest in the world. It also has nuclear weapons, deployed via its fleet of submarines. It's strange that Britain is ranked 6th in global firepower because its army lacks the armed mass forces that China, Russia, India, and the United States have. Britain is the second largest donor to Ukraine behind the US, having committed $4.6 billion in military aid since the start of the war. It continues to be a major contributor to NATO, meeting its pledge to spend at least 2% of GDP on defense and aiming for 2.5% by 2030. Global Firepower ranked the UK in the top 10 in areas including its total number of available ports and trade terminals as well as its total aerial tanker aircraft fleet strength, giving the country a PwrIndx score of 0.1443. Number 5. South Korea. The strength of South Korea's military is no surprise given its decades-old tensions with North Korea. Since 2021, North Korea has conducted around 90 strategic cruise missile tests, with South Korea its most obvious target in a real conflict. Historically tense and hostile, relations between North Korea and the United States have worsened up in recent years, as the US has deployed an anti-missile system and 29,000 troops in South Korea under a mutual defense pact. Global Firepower ranks South Korea in the top 5 for its aircraft fleet strength, armored fighting vehicle fleet strength, and its helicopter strength. It said the Asian nation had more than 133,000 vehicles and 739 helicopters, including 112 attack helicopters, as of 2023. Overall, it gave South Korea a PwrIndx score of 0.1416. Number 4. India's strength lies in the size of its population. Global Firepower ranked India second for available manpower, total available active military manpower, and paramilitary force strength. It said India's available manpower was more than 653 million people, 47% of the country's population, as of June 2023. It also said that India had almost 1.5 million active military personnel. India has been engaged in military clashes with China over its shared border. While China claims some 90,000 square kilometers of territory in India's northeast, India says China occupies 38,000 square kilometers of its territory in the Aksai Chin Plateau. Global Firepower gave India a PwrIndx score of 0.1023. Number 3. China. China has grown its military power fast in recent years as it takes a more assertive role in world affairs. Global Firepower ranked China first for available manpower and for the strength of its naval fleet. China has a distinct advantage economically and by way of sheer manpower and has placed a decided focus on increasing, primarily through local means, naval, air power, and land warfare capabilities, Global Firepower said in its latest ranking. If the trend continues, it added, China will become the primary global military adversary to the United States. Tensions are simmering around Taiwan, and China has also stoked regional tensions by claiming the South China Sea as its own territory and establishing a military presence on many of its small islands. According to Global Firepower, China has available military manpower of more than 761 million people as of 2023, along with 50 destroyer warships and 78 submarines, among many other military assets. Global Firepower gave China a PwrIndx score of 0.0706. While its military's reputation has taken a hit since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, Russia retained its second-place spot on Global Firepower's ranking. Russia's invasion of Ukraine showcased key limitations in Russian military capabilities despite its quantitative manpower and material advantage over neighboring Ukraine, Global Firepower said. It added that China was moving closer to taking the runner-up spot. Global Firepower ranked Russia second in areas including total aircraft fleet strength and total transport fleet strength. It said that, as of October 2023, Russia had more than 4,100 military aircraft. Russia has faced a number of military setbacks since it launched its invasion of Ukraine, losing considerable quantities of equipment, notably tanks. Its failure to quickly conquer Ukraine, a much weaker adversary, drove many to reassess their opinion of its military capability. As of December 2023, Russia was mostly on the defensive in Ukraine, holding back its enemies with a formidable network of trenches and minefields but starting to launch more attacks than in previous months. Despite its losses on the ground, Russia's air force and navy largely avoided damage. Russia also has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Overall, global firepower gave Russia a PwrIndx score of 0.0702. The US military retained its undisputed place at the top of the ranking, although China's efforts have narrowed the gap over the years. Global Firepower said the US took the top spot as it showcases commanding numbers in key material, financial, and resource categories. The US was given a PwrIndx score of 0.0699. The nation leads the world technologically, it said. The US ranks first in many areas of Global Firepower's ranking, with 92 destroyers and 11 aircraft carriers in its fleets. Its air power includes 13,300 aircraft and 983 attack helicopters, as of July 2023, comfortably the largest in the world. It also had by far the largest defense budget, in excess of $750 billion, more than triple that of China in second place. In response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the US deployed an additional 20,000 troops to Europe, bringing the total to more than 100,000 soldiers across the continent. The US is the largest provider of military assistance to Ukraine, having committed more than $47 billion in military assistance since the start of Russia's first invasion in 2014.